Okay, so I start my morning off by feeding my pets, and it is 10 a.m. I have a can of wet food right next to me. It is Gary's diabetic food. Usually, if there's not a can in the fridge, then I go grab a can. It's right where Latte eats. It's the first drawer. I'm going to open this up, so give me a second and then we'll come back to this. Okay, so I have cut the little pieces. I use the top of the can, so like just a reenactment. I press down on each side with it. And what I like to do behind here is I grab a toothpick. I'm trying to use my camera to like cut it, but I use the toothpick just to make sure I've freed up the food, and then I poke it and I put it in their food bowls, but there's a little bit of buildup. Now, I don't always wash them out, like it's dry food, so like it's dried on wet food, so I can usually just like grab it like this, but it has been a little while since their bowls have been rinsed out, and I don't think that you want to eat on something with crumbs. So I'm going to rinse their bowls out, not with soap, but just get water so all this is out, and that way we have clean bowls. So I will come back to you when that has been done. Okay, so my bowls are clean, and so what I do is I literally get, I have tiny hands, but I get a fistful of dry kibble, and I've kind of measured it out. I think it's about 1/4, maybe a little bit near 1/2, but it's not the recommended 3/4 for Gary, because that is too much for her weight, personally. Like, the food bowl's usually like really filled, and I don't know, I feel like because that dose is for a cat solely eating dry kibble, I feed her both dry and wet food, so sorry. I'm gonna pause here and get the wet food, but to finish what I was saying, I don't give her nearly as much dry kibble, and I don't give Latte nearly as much dry kibble as the bag prescribes, solely because I'm feeding them wet food as well. It's always 1/4 of a can. So I feed half a can to these two in the morning and half a can at night. Okay, so another thing, this is just personal preference. I will cut up the food sometimes, depending on if I'm feeling like it, because sometimes I notice the cats will eat the wet food a little bit more if it's cut up. There's two ways you can like really mishmash the food. So this is what I do for Gary if I'm feeling like cutting up her food. When I worked at pet care places, what we used to do is take the top and smush the food down like so. Give me a second. Okay, we would take the pet food like this and then score the wet food with the top, and there you have it. Those are the two different ways you can serve wet and dry food. Now, I'm going to take the leftover, you're going to get a lot of weird shots because I'm recording with my phone with one hand, so I'm going to put the wet food in the fridge, and you're going to make sure the top's on correctly. I'm going to put this in the fridge because it is opened, and then it's going to be fed tonight. So, I'm going to grab the pet food, and I'm not forgetting my dog. Currently what I'm doing right now is I wait 15 minutes for Betty, because with her food, the cats try to get into it, specifically this one, who's not supposed to be in anyone else's food. Now, if she gets into Latte's food, it's the same food, but she's supposed to only eat at specific times. So she's got to wait 15 to 30 minutes for her food. Usually when I give her her insulin, then she gets her food. So I'm going to get the food divvied out. You can tell Gary's excited for hers. Come on, baby. Come on. Come on. Move. Move. Okay, I'm putting that food down. Nope, not lattes. Come here. There we are. That's a happy kitty. Okay. So, you might be wondering why I keep this brush up here. That's so I can clean this up. But he flings food and dry kibble, so I will brush this down and collect. We used to store a different pet food. I'm going to have to wash this bin out because it smells weird. So he used to be on, Gary and Latte used to be on a sensitive stomach diet by Blue Buffalo, and we switched Latte over to Gary's food, not because he is diabetic, but because it's a low carb and it really helps them maintain their weight. So he doesn't have to be on the same food as Gary, but it's just easier to feed them both the same food. But one of these days I need to wash out this bin and just put the sensitive stomach, the prescription diabetic food, and give that a place to stay rather than being over here, because if it is admittedly easier, I do agree. Maybe I should do two things: get the bin and then get this dry food in there so it's not stale. I don't know what I'm gonna have to wash this out and put this in recycling. But yeah, so far, excuse this. We're gonna get to this kitchen, but yeah. So Betty's gonna wait 15 minutes. The pets are gonna eat their food, and I will go into about how I deal with a diabetic cat and her shots. That's gonna be its own thing, so stay tuned. Okay, so to feed Betty, it's a little different. She has a little bit leftover kibble, but I can show you a few tricks on how to get your dog to eat their kibble. Okay, Betty, you need to sit, sweetie. Sit. Sit. No. Stay. No, sit. Get back. She is very excited for food. I always hide a few treats and feed her about a fourth cup in the morning and a fourth cup at night. And here she is, eating her dinner. Well, breakfast, I should say. So I'm gonna get up and go grab Gary's insulin from the fridge. I gotta find it, give me 1 second. Okay, this is Gary's insulin. So, if you can see. So I have to grab a specific needle. Pardon the mess. So, this, I always get, when I'm in a current pack, I grab the pack and just dump the 10 needles here, and then grab them as I need them. So, I'm gonna, actually, let me come back. Let me figure out how I can stand my phone real quick, and then I'll show you, if possible. If it's too complicated, I'm not. But if possible, I'm going to show you how I draw the insulin and how I administer it. If I can't record the process, however, I'm just going to cut it out of the video and just, give Gary her insulin, and then I'll go about how I do the rest of my day. Okay, so this is a U100 needle. It's a 3/10 milliliter. So these orange things, let's get all this stuff out of the way. Gotta recycle that. It's still gonna be messy, but this right here is the needle. To expose the tip, to get the safety off. Here, let's see if it will focus. Yeah, I'm gonna have to use, this is the tip. So I have to take the safeties off. And this is the plunger, as you can see. So the plunger, of course, I'm going to draw back whenever I need to get the insulin. So on the top here, you'll see this. Here, let me see if my camera will focus. You see this mesh top I poke the needle in through the top, and I flip upside down. My hand's gonna get in the way. But there's these tiny little notches. Oh, my cat is meowing, and he jumped on the counter. Hey buddy, you need to get down. Anyways, sorry about that. So you flip upside down, and there's these tiny little notches. I'm only going to show you. I have to flip it upside down. It's really hard to do with one hand. And I have to make sure there's no air bubbles. And pull back. I need to have 2.5 well, it's not milliliters, it's units. So this right here, where the black is, that's half a unit. 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. That's what Gary is on. So I'm going to administer that. So I'm going to pause this, and we're going to see each other at Gary. Okay, so as you can see, Gary's laying down. It's going to be hard to explain the process, so I'm going to just do it, and I'm going to show it on a stuffed animal. So, excuse my shorts. Hi, Gear Bear. How you doing? You always pet first, kind of to calm them down. I got her needle. I pinch, tent. And there we have it, and I give her her treat. I'm only allowed to give her a very few amounts. So I give her 2, and we're done. So. Oh, and after I'm done with that needle, what I do is I need to cap it. So, as you can see, here, the needle. I like to point it downward. As you can see, put some pressure, put the safety back on, put this plunger safety as well. And then I keep water bottles. I know recently I haven't been keeping them in a water bottle. I'll show you. This is essentially a sharps container. And that's where I'm going to put this used needle. But that's how I give insulin to Gary. But for now, I'm going to lay down, and I will do more of a process today, kind of to show you what I do in a day. I know today I haven't been feeling as great, so when I'm not feeling as great, I don't do too much. You know, I might check Discord for a little bit. I might decide to draw, different things like that.